Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, that's where we start off today. Developments at the ongoing national conference. Well, joined this morning by Mr. Robert Clarke, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning, sir.
It's my pleasure always.
Well, looking at that report and the proceedings at the national conference, one wonders, it's taken them that much effort to agree on the preliminary matters. Is that a typology of what to expect when they have to agree on the perhaps weightier matters, you think?
You see, the creation of this National Assembly by President Goodluck is one of the best things that has ever happened to Nigeria. One has to give kudos to Mr. President for this, despite and in spite of what many people might think is behind the agenda for calling this conference. I honestly believe that the young man has good intentions. The problem is, you are asking Nigeria to sit down and you are bringing in old people who have had a fixed idea about what Nigeria is or has been. I looked at the contents of the people there. I can identify at least over half of the faces who have, I would not call stigmatized ideas, but fixed ideas of what Nigeria should be. If you put them there at their age, between 75, 80, 60 to 80 or 85, you can't change them overnight. The flexibility that the conference will require from people who have rigid ideas may never be attained. So you can see from the onset, certain people have fixed ideas and they believe that with 2/3 majority or 3/4 majority, certain fixed ideas may not happen. The North may feel, look, this thing has to go one way. And since you need 3/4 percentage to pass it, we already have 1/4 percentage of the totality of members. Therefore, it will never pass. And these are people who have had a fixed mind. So the problem we're going to have in this National Assembly is that such people with fixation of ideas of how this country can be run can never be changed. My good brother Edwin Clarke is there. I can say without fear of favor that he has a fixed idea of what Nigeria should be. Ayo Adebanjo, my good senior in the grammar school, I saw him yesterday. He also has a fixed idea of what Nigeria should be. These are people who are in their 80s. Do you think they can ever be changed? Now, we're starting with a problem, and we have not really gone into the real matters that will make Nigeria great. One of the problems we have is that the system of governance in this country is too expensive. Not only that it is too expensive, powers are being vested on our president, which no other president in the world has. When you look at Section 5 of the Constitution says all executive powers are vested in Mr. President. The same thing for the governors. They have become demi-gods, let's be honest. After God, Mr. President is number 2 in Nigeria. After God, the governor is number 1. So where are we going to go? If we decide to change the system of governance, you will find that many, many people, especially the politicians, who are enjoying the system, will never allow it.
So if we really wanted to change, many of those who are there now
should not be there. You should bring in fresh minds that have no fixation about any philosophy, that have no fixation about any idea, that are amenable to reasoning, and of course, with the love of the country. When you're packing people like Jerry Ghana, who has been recycled in Nigerian politics for the past 35 years, What is he going to tell us? He is enjoying the fruits of a presidential system. He has been in every military government in Nigeria and in all politics. These are the people who should not be there because they can never change. I'm sorry to say it. We need to allow this set of people to go and sleep. Nigeria should rethink of bringing in fresh minds who have never been in politics, who are matured enough to see what system goes on in other countries and what is the basic problem in Nigeria. You saw what happened about this recruitment. When a minister, without due process of law, decided to hijack from a board created by him, there is a board supervising the immigration department. Recruitment is a domestic work of the board of immigration. Why should the minister take it over? And in taking it over, look how he bungled it. Lives have been lost. What has been done?
In fact, Mr. Clarke, I think we'll come back to that immigration issue because there's so many other national matters we would like to raise with you. But I'm still thinking about this national conference and the way you have started this discussion, I think has actually caused some kind of thinking in the minds of loads and loads of Nigerians. Because truly, if you look at the composition, as you rightly put, it's even good to hear it from you, who is also of that generation. If someone of a younger generation or my generation had come up there, it would amount to maybe you don't like to see the older generation in the driving seat. But do you think, as it is now, at least you're also an employer of labor, that we have younger persons in the country that can truly drive this process and come together to define what kind of country we truly want?
You see, don't get me wrong about elderly people being there. I am not against that. We need their experience. We need their expertise. What I'm saying is that the elderly people now in this conference are already fixed about what Nigeria should be. They have already been part of what Nigeria is today. And they are part of the problems we have in Nigeria today. For instance, I don't believe in a presidential system of government. And if I were made to go into the National Assembly, I will fight vehemently that the presidential system should change because I have a fixation that it has been a failure to us. My type of people is not wanted there because at my age and my fixation on ideas, it will be difficult to change me. And that is why I'm saying people like Jerry Garner, Clarke, and others who have a fixation of what Nigeria should be and has been and is being now will not want to change overnight. Not because they are old, but because they have a fixation. You can have old men who are experienced in the field of industries, who have no fixed ideas about governance, who are ready to listen to other people and learn from other people. Such are the people I think should have been here, not the old horses who have been recycled for the past 40 years.
I'm getting to see this fixation point you have raised because this is the second week now, and they have just 3 months, and as we speak, they haven't actually started. There's still argument about so many other issues. For yesterday, it was a rowdy session on a voting pattern and so many other rules of engagement in that particular process. Do you think, the way it is going, that 3 months will be enough for them to carry out this task?
You see, the problem is, if you take 2 weeks to determine the voting pattern, it means you have a hidden agenda. Because if you're asking for 3/4 votes to be able to pass any meaningful, thing, you have looked within yourself. You know that with 1/4 of the people there opposing anything, it will never pass. And there are many of them who are already fixed on a pattern. And they know this question of percentage is so important and crucial. Because once, an idea comes in, let's say, resource control, and 1/4 of people there don't want that type of resource control, it will never pass then where do we go from there? And as you rightly said, out of 12 weeks, we are still taking 2 weeks to talk not about the agenda to be presented, but on what percentage of vote will be the voting manner. We are starting on a wrong footing. And with all good intention in my mind, with all good purposes, I doubt whether anything will come out from this.
Why would you want a parliamentary system? Let's hear from you again on this.
Let me give you an example. You don't need to go too far. The ministers of today in Nigeria are not accountable to anybody except to Mr. President. He appoints them subject to approval of this thing, but he has the right to fire. But that right to fire is so restricted, and I feel sorry for Mr. President. He's a very nice man. He has good intentions for the country. But take, for instance, what has just happened. The Minister for Internal Affairs is a nominee of a strong party man, not Mr. President's choice, because ministers are, dumped on the foot of the president.
Do they still do that?
That is what happens. Each governor presents a candidate to Mr. President. The president of the Senate presents his own candidate. The speaker presents his own candidate. The chairman of the party. So, Mr. President is being forced to accept ministers who have loyalty not to him, but to the source of their appointees.